Today in this video, we're gonna talk about the two different ways to close a wholesale deal. Hey guys, welcome back to the David Dodge Show. Once again, in my living room. Today in this video, we're gonna talk about the two different ways to close a wholesale deal. In fact, there's really only two ways to do it, which is the coolest part. And really, the goal, in my opinion, when wholesaling properties is to use as little of your money as possible. And both of these ways will offer that solution to you. Now, depending on where you live, some of these ways may or may not work. Or I shouldn't say some of them, one of them may or may not work. But there's always two ways to do things typically. And there's two ways to close a wholesale deal. So let's jump on in, all right? Way number one is what we like to refer to as a double close. And both of these ways are gonna have pros and cons. So in this video, I wanna weigh those pros and cons to you as well. So a double close, okay? What that means is that I go out and I contract a property to purchase it, okay? I didn't buy it. I contracted it. I said, I'm willing to pay this amount. And it's usually really low, right? You make your money when you buy, you get paid when you sell. So your offers should be low because that's where the money's made. Come on, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out and we're gonna get that deal under contract. And then we're gonna market that deal and we're gonna find a buyer, somebody that wants to partner with us or that wants to buy it and just pay us to get out of the way, hopefully, right? That's wholesaling. And we're gonna take those two contracts and we're gonna give them to a title company or a closing attorney. That's it. We're gonna also put down our earnest money, which is the due consideration to make it valid and legal. And usually it's $100 or maybe even $10. Keep it small, right? And we're gonna double close. So the double close is whenever you are lining up your closing to buy it, and then you're lining up your closing to sell it on the same day. Now, if you live in an area like I do in the Midwest, we can do these dry double closes, which literally means if all the paperwork is there on the same day and it's signed and our buyer funds, we can pass through that money through us all the way to the seller, keep the fee, and not have to bring any money to the table. That's dry funding. In some cases and in some states, they don't allow the dry funding. So you have to go get transactional funds to buy it first and then literally right away within 10 minutes or an hour, sell it. And that lender gets paid back right away. And then you're able to capture those fees in the middle, right? I personally don't like to use any money at all. And again, I'm fortunate to live in an area that doesn't require me to double or to wet fund. That's the other approach, to wet fund the deal. I want to use my buyer's money. And as long as everything lines up, they can pass that money from the buyer through me all the way to the seller. And it's seamless. So that's the double close. If you dry fund it, you don't bring any money. If you wet fund it, go find yourself a transactional lender. They'll typically lend money for transactional type purposes for about 1%. So if you have to borrow $100,000, that makes more sense, right, Dave? 100,000, you're gonna pay them $1,000. But they know that they have very little risk because when they offer these transactional loans to fund your deals, they tell the title company or the closing attorney, this money is not to be used unless the buyer's funds are there. So you can't just buy it and get the seller paid, but then the buyer not be there. Because then you would be stuck with it and hope they would come in. So they eliminate their risk too and say, these funds are able to be used, but only for a short period of time and only if the buyer's funds are there. So it allows you to actually purchase it just for a couple minutes and then sell it right away, and then their lender gets paid, the seller gets paid, and the buyer gets the deal, and you get paid in the middle. You're creating so many of these winning scenarios. So that's the double close. Now, there's pros and cons. Okay? The pros to a double close is, you're gonna be able to show more revenue. on your financial statements if that matters or not to you. Maybe your banks want to see it, right? And whenever you double close and you are dry funding the deal, it allows you to, kind of stay involved in the situation because you're still dealing with the seller, you're still dealing with the buyer, and you always really want to be, but you're just really in the mix more. Now, the cons to double close are you have to go to the title company and actually close. Doesn't really seem like a con, but it does create more work, right? You're going to have to pay more because you're going to have to pay closing costs to buy it and closing costs to sell it. All right, so you're going to have a higher transaction cost. You may or may not need to fund it, and you can use a transactional lender if you do. Again, not that big of a deal. Doesn't create that big of a hurdle in my opinion. 200 grand you can borrow for 2,000 bucks for an hour pretty easily. And if you can make 10 or 15 grand, what's 2,000 to do the deal? It's nothing, right? Let's see, cons. So there's going to be a higher cost. When you're double closing, one of the pros that I didn't even think about till now is you can hide how much money you're making because the seller is getting what you offered them and the buyer's paying what you sold it to them for. And that spread, you get to keep hidden, at least for a few months until it's public record, right? But it prevents a buyer from saying, no, I'm not paying 160 for that deal knowing that you got it for 120 and you're making 40 grand off me. That's not really fair. Well, if it's still a deal at 160, why would that matter? So again, the pros are to keep hidden the fee, but you're gonna have a higher fee to do the deal. That's transaction costs. And that's it. That's double closing 101. You now know everything there is to know about double closing. So simple. The other way to do this, guys, is to use what's called an assignment. And assignments have pros and cons as well. Assignments are great because it's basically saying, I'm just selling my contract. I'm not trying to line this up and make this crazy spread, even though you can do crazy spreads on assignments. But it's just basically saying, hey, I got a really great deal and I just want to sell the paperwork. I don't really want to buy it. I don't want to be involved in the closings. And as long as I can leave meat on the bone for you, then it should be a good deal, right? Of course. So the pros of using an assignment agreement, which literally is just a one-page contract, are that it eliminates your cost to do the transaction because you don't even have to close. You're not the buyer or the seller. You're just the middleman that found the lead, got the contract to buy it, found the buyer that actually wants it, and then just got out of the way. So there's literally zero cost to close when you do an assignment. And that's one of the best pros. Now, there's a con to an assignment, and the con is that the buyer of the deal is gonna know. In fact, they should, they need to, and they really have to, in my opinion, know what your fee is, because what you are doing whenever you assign a deal is you are basically saying, I have a contract to purchase, and you are gonna step into my shoes and fulfill this contract. And the assignment agreement sells them the contract with a fee attached to it. And if that fee is $10,000 and the seller has no, or I should say the buyer has no problem paying that $10,000, well then there's no issue. And you're gonna get the full $10,000 when it closes, assuming they go close like they should on the day of closing. Every penny of it, no fees. But if they're not okay with you making $10,000, then it can be difficult. So you have these options to keep your profit disclosed or open, and there's an opportunity cost to pick which side you want to go with that. You're either going to pay some fees to buy it and sell it, and maybe even borrow the money, or you are going to just have that transaction be free, essentially, right? And you're gonna have the buyer of this deal know what you're getting paid. But oftentimes you can do $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 wholesales if you're leaving enough meat on the bone for them. They often don't care. And that's really it, guys. With the assignment agreement, they typically will go deposit the amount of earnest money that you did so you can get all of your money back right away. Sometimes in these assignment agreements, you get paid at closing. Sometimes you get paid right away. It's amazing, right? So just don't overthink these things. So just know that there's two ways, typically, to exit a wholesale deal, guys. It's to sell it with a double close, or it is to assign that deal to your buyer. And you do so by using title companies and or closing attorneys. And if you don't have one, Google title company in your city or closing attorney, or go to a local REIA club and meet the people that work at these places. Meet the lawyers, meet the title reps. They're out there networking, trying to gain your business. And here's the coolest thing to end this video. Oftentimes, title can have issues and be kind of hard, and I still don't really know what's going on half the time with the title, but I don't have to, because it's the title company's job to make sure that everything happens the way that it should. And it's the closing attorney's job. And that's why we pay these people. So don't feel like you need to learn, what the title process looks like and how it works to go start wholesaling real estate. Just know you need to start marketing. You need to start sending offers. Once you get those properties under contract, you now have inventory. It's the best part. You can go sell those deals like we just talked about. And in the last video, we broke down how to do that. So go check that video out. And then we're gonna take it to a title company or closing attorney. And we're either gonna use the double close method or the assignment method, and we're gonna get paid. Guys, if you like this video, hit that like button, let me know. Subscribe to the channel and drop a comment down below if there's another method that you're using that I don't even know about. So curious to learn. Thanks for watching. Signing off.